The importance of Biden's $280 billion CHIPS and Science Act for American business. The CHIPS and Science Act will provide a stable tax incentive for the private sector to invest in research and development. It will also bolster America's competitiveness by promoting the creation of new jobs, technologies, and industry. What is the CHIPS bill, and how will it help America? The CHIPS Act is a bipartisan bill that is designed to protect the United States from a cyber attack. It provides a framework for federal agencies to share information with each other and the private sector. The CHIPS bill is designed to help America in the event of an attack on the country's cyber infrastructure. Why is the CHIPS and Science Act important for America? The CHIPS and Science Act is a bipartisan bill that was introduced to the Senate on March 14, 2019. The goal of this bill is to provide more opportunities for American students to pursue careers in STEM fields by providing them with opportunities for education and training. This bill would establish an interagency working group on education and training that would work with the Department of Defense, Department of Education, Department of Labor, Department of Commerce, and National Science Foundation. This group would be charged with coming up with a plan to improve education in STEM fields. The group would also be responsible for developing a national strategy on workforce development in STEM fields. The role of the Treasury Department in President Obama's first term. The Treasury Department was responsible for managing the federal government's finances and overseeing the financial system. It was also in charge of collecting taxes, enforcing federal finance and tax laws, and managing public debt. President Obama appointed Timothy Geithner as Treasury Secretary on January 26, 2009. One of his most important tasks during his first term was to manage the government's response to the 2008 financial crisis. Geithner oversaw a $700 billion bailout of banks and Wall Street firms, as well as a $787 billion stimulus package that stabilized the economy. He also helped form a plan for reducing foreclosures by giving mortgage lenders incentives to modify loans. In addition to these responsibilities, Geithner had to oversee President Obama's healthcare reform law in 2010-2011. The CHIPS and Science Act is a bipartisan bill that was signed into law by President Trump on December 19, 2017. The bill authorizes $6.3 billion in funding for research at the National Science Foundation, National Institute of Standards and Technology, Department of Energy's Office of Science, NASA, NSF Major Research Equipment and Facilities Construction Account, DOE Advanced Scientific Computing Research Account, the NSF Computer and Information Science and Engineering Account, the NSF Mathematical and Physical Sciences Account, the NSF Geosciences Account. The President's signature on the CHIPS and Science Act highlights progress on his America First agenda. The CHIPS and Science Act is an act that will make it easier for the President to hire more STEM teachers in schools. It also provides funding for STEM education and research. This act will help the President fulfill his America First agenda by investing in American education and research. Why this bill is important for higher education, recent college grads, and diverse scholars. The Science Act of 2019, H.R. 3364, is a bipartisan legislation that would make more funds available for science and engineering research, improve scientific literacy, and provide better opportunities for STEM education. This bill is important for higher education because it would increase the number of federal grants available to students in STEM fields. It would also help colleges and universities by providing them with more funding to update their facilities or buy new equipment. Recent college grads are also helped by this legislation because they will have a better chance of finding employment in the STEM field they studied in college. And diverse scholars will finally be able to get the help they need with their studies from the federal government, which has historically been biased against them. Conclusion: why you should support the bill regardless of your political stance. This bill is a step in the right direction for the future of AI. It will ensure that AI is developed responsibly and ethically. It will also ensure that there is transparency in the development process and that people are aware of how their data is being used. This bill would be beneficial to everyone, regardless of political stance. It would ensure that AI developers are held accountable for their actions, and it would give consumers more control over what happens with their personal data.